receiver for San Francisco. I think he's a brilliant player. But I don't feel like he's the soul of the team like I do more Jamar Chase in Cincinnati. I think it's a Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase team. Or Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. I think it's a Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson team. Brandon Aiyuk's really, really talented. But the Niners drafted 2 wide receivers for a reason. The 4 or 5 elements, and he wants a contract now, and he's got a year left on his deal. The 4 or 5 elements of San Francisco's success. Number 1, Kyle Shanahan's offense. Number 2, Christian McCaffrey's legs. Number 3, Bosa's relentless pass rush. And number 4, Brock Purdy's efficiency. If I had to go to a number 5, it would be Trent Williams' protection, which when he plays, they win. When he doesn't, they win less frequently. Brandon Aiyuk playing is not tied to winning or losing. Debo's more versatile. George Kittle's more a part of sort of their cultural fit. Aiyuk is none of those. He's just really, really talented, and he wants a contract a year early. And he's been going on social. How important are you to the infrastructure of the company you work? It's not about just talent. You know, you're not, if you go to the playoffs for Brandon Aiyuk, in 3 games, he had 1 touchdown. In 3 games, he had 149 yards. He's a piece, but he's not as versatile as Debo. He's not the tough cultural fit of Kittle. He's not the brain power of Kyle Shanahan building the architect of the offense, or McCaffrey's versatility or run game. He doesn't rush the passer or protect the quarterback. At some point, this idea that you have to pay every athlete early. Yes, I would rather get my quarterback paid, get a slightly team-friendly deal. That's kind of the feeling if you pay him a little early, like a Herbert or a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen. Can we pay him maybe a year early and get a little bit of a break on the back end? Whether you do or not, I understand the theory of it. But the one position in the NFL that just ask yourself, for your star player, is he vital? Is he the soul of the team? I think Jamar Chase and Burrow are the Bengals. I think the coach is good but could be replaced if they found another smart offensive guy, and I like Zach Taylor. The edge rusher's good, but again, you could find edge rushers. There are receivers that are, you go back to the Niners, it always felt like Montana and Rice to me. That's what it always felt like. Brady, it didn't feel that way as much. It felt like Belichick's defensive brain power and Brady's efficiency. That's what it felt like. Now, there was Gronk and Edelman that were incredibly valuable pieces. But there was Welker before Edelman. And then Tom left and won with a Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. But Brandon Aiyuk, somebody needs to tell him, if you look at the cultural fit, the production in big games, the infrastructure, he's a really talented player. I wouldn't pay him a year early. I wouldn't. Here's the other thing. People were, the minute a team wins a championship, there is this sense of, like with the Boston Celtics this morning, like we did this last year with the Denver Nuggets. We said with the Denver Nuggets, and I thought they had a feeling of kind of the Tim Duncan Spurs, where they may not be a back-to-back champion, but you could see Denver in 5 years winning 2 or 3 titles. Good coach, great star, nice pieces, good culture. Denver even this year looked like they had a chance to go to the finals, and then they blew a 20-point lead in Game 7 against Minnesota, right? So it didn't work out. It is very hard. The NFL's never had a back-to-back-to-back champion, ever. And I grew up with the Steelers. It's hard to believe they didn't. They were that physically dominating. It's hard to believe the Patriots didn't. Best coach, best quarterback for a long period. Kansas City may this year, although I wouldn't bet on it. But in the NBA, we kind of look at if you can go back-to-back. We kind of suspect it's a smaller roster. If you got the guys, you can go back-to-back. I'll tell you a really important part of Boston becoming a potential dynasty. It's not Tatum or Brown. It's not Joe Mazzulla. It's Derek White. Porzingis, you can't trust his health. Drew Holiday and Horford just getting older. Tatum and Brown are going nowhere. but they didn't win before all these additional pieces. The hallmark of this team, the soul of it, is their depth. And now Tatum's going to get a max deal. So you're going to have Jaylen Brown and Tatum making over $300 million. So the league is trying to spread out the talent. They're trying to make it very difficult to be able to re-sign a Derek White if you're the Celtics. The league does not want you to do that. They do not want you to be able to win a championship and re-sign a guy as your fourth best player when he would be a 2 everywhere else in the league. They don't want that. The league has created a CBA. It kicks into gear with the apron. They do not want the Celtics, and not specifically, but generally, they don't want a team like the Celtics to be able to re-sign Derek White, who's a terrific player. Second team All-NBA. He's a veteran guy that was overlooked in high school, in college. He's been overlooked his whole career. He is a tremendous player, 29, about to be 30. Again, a 40% three-point shooter, second team All-NBA defense, incredibly coachable and functional. The league would rather he not be able to stay in Boston, especially after you paid Tatum and Brown $300 large. The league is trying to get out of that business. But if Derek White takes a little less and stays, and I get if he doesn't. He's got the ring now, right? Like, once you get the ring, he's maybe thinking, I was overlooked in high school, in college. I was overlooked in San Antonio. I'm not doing this. But I will say, if he re-signed Porzingis, he's getting surgery. You don't know what you're getting. Horford, Holiday are getting older. I like them. They're getting older. Tatum and Brown, they couldn't win when those two were together for years. Derek White's the issue. If he re-signs, then you're looking at a Boston team that could win 3 titles in 5 or 6 years. And to me, that qualifies as a dynasty. But I mean, he led the Celtics this year in plus minus. Not Tatum, not Brown, Derek White. So it's going to be fascinating. My guess is if somebody like an Orlando or somebody, maybe a San Antonio would come back. Who knows? If somebody offered him the bag, I can understand a kid who's been overlooked his entire life saying, I'm going to take the money. But the league would prefer that Derek White in those type of situations went elsewhere so they spread the talent out. And just remember, Bruce Brown was in Denver. You did not think he was an important cog, an important piece to Denver. And he was. Because you know what you're getting with Jokic. You know what you're getting with Porter and Gordon and Jamal Murray. It's those guys, Bruce Brown guys, that can pop for 20, take over a game for an 8-minute stretch like Derek White, and you just don't have the personnel to guard them. So those guys generally go get their money. I don't begrudge him at all for doing that. But he's a really fascinating piece if Brad Stevens can figure out a way to keep Derek White there. Then I would take Boston to probably beat Denver in the finals next year. I do think Denver gets back, and I think Boston's absolutely a level above the rest of the East, even teams I like the Knicks.
So White's on the books for $20 million next year. Then he's a free agent. Colin, somebody's paying him more than $20 million. Like this idea that he could take a hometown disc. I don't see that. By the way, I looked up his salary history. He was on like a cheap deal with the Spurs, his rookie deal, and he's been paid the last 2 seasons. But it's not like he's made generational wealth yet. I know it sounds like a lot, but remember, taxes, agent, all that stuff. He's somebody's going to offer him big money to be like their number 3.
Well, they should. First of all, he's a terrific player. Like, you could call him a glue guy, but he's beyond that.
Yeah.
Like, he's an all-NBA.
He had some big shots, too, deep threes.
He led the team in plus-minus. He's a 40% three-point shooter. We talked about this all year. If he's your 5, this team is several notches above the second-best team in the league.
Derek White or Austin Reeves? Take your time. Okay, never mind. I know. I see the look on your face.
Yeah. Even teams I like the Knicks.
So White's on the books for $20 million next year. Then he's a free agent. Colin, somebody's paying him more than $20 million. Like this idea that he could take a hometown disc. I don't see that. By the way, I looked up his salary history. He was on like a cheap deal with the Spurs, his rookie deal, and he's been paid the last 2 seasons. But it's not like he's made generational wealth yet. I know it sounds like a lot, but remember, taxes, agent, all that stuff. He's somebody's going to offer him big money to be like their number 3.
Well, they should. First of all, he's a terrific player. Like, you could call him a glue guy, but he's beyond that.
Yeah.
Like he's an all-NBA.
He had some big shots too, deep threes.
He led the team in plus minus. He's a 40% three-point shooter. We talked about this all year. If he's your 5, this team is several notches above the second best team in the league.
Derek White or Austin Reeves. Take your time. Okay, never mind. I see the look on your face.
Yeah.